Hey everyone, this is Ed Mitchell, broadcaster and web developer over at 4playernetwork.com, and this is my top 10 games of 2016. So let's get rolling. Just scraping by into my top 10 is The Flame and the Flood. While not normally being a fan of the survival genre, I gave this one a whirl because of the good reviews and the killer soundtrack. This game boils down the genre into something simple, and through its simplicity it becomes something beautiful. You flip-flop between segments of riding down a river on a makeshift raft to exploring the differing islands which each have different features, like abandoned shops where you find workbenches to upgrade your tools, marinas where you upgrade your raft and get a jar of fuel, or a simple camp which always has a bonfire. The gameplay is stressful, where you're always trying to balance having enough food, water, staying warm, and getting enough sleep. But the loop of gathering resources, crafting supplies, and then setting off down the river to the next island just keeps you going. You want to get to the next island, craft the next tool, so that next time you run into one of those stupid goddamn boars, or the wolves that were harassing you 4 islands earlier, you're prepared to take them out in many different ways. Just like any survival game, as you get more experience, you get more powerful. But this game still keeps the danger going. It doesn't matter how powerful you feel or how many arrows and traps you have, you can always overextend yourself, run out of materials, get charged by a boar 4 times, and die of an infection. With the combination of that feeling of constant danger and always wanting to discover what's at the next island, and jamming to the music, this game is one of those that just kept me thinking and kept me coming back. And I think that is enough to grant a spot on my top 10. But seriously, listen to the soundtrack and let it soothe your soul as you paddle down the river. My number 9 game of the year is The Last Guardian. Man, what a year. Who would have thought that we would have gotten 2 hugely long-awaited games released not only in the same year, but within a week of each other. The Last Guardian and Final Fantasy XV are both games that seem to have been hit or miss amongst gamers, and even other people on the site. This game, however, managed to hit a sweet spot for me, made me become enamored with Trico and enraptured by my desire to grow a bond between these 2 characters. The game is incredibly well crafted, and every set piece leads you to the end goal of growing the relationship between the boy and Trico. And every time I fell off a crumbling tower and was caught by him, I felt that bond grow between them. Now that doesn't mean that I think this game is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. The controls are shit, both to control the boy and later control, using air quotes here, the beast. But the mystery that enveloped this land we are exploring together, and the journey of watching Trico healing and becoming stronger was enough to pull me through the game. This game brought genuine emotional reactions out of me. I felt sad when I threw a jar of food and it hit Trico in the face. I felt anger whenever a soldier threw a spear at my new friend. And I felt happiness as we accomplished more and more as both of us grew together. Upon finishing the game, I didn't find myself feeling relieved that I was finally finished. I felt pride in Trico's growth, and the ending cinematic left a smile on my face. The Last Guardian is not the pinnacle of game design, AI design, or even level design, but it is something unique. Something frustrating, a relic of earlier era video games, and something special, an experience that gave me things to think back on, and something that in the end left an impression. Coming up as number 8 on my list is Zero Escape Zero Time Dilemma. This game is another one of those long-awaited games, but maybe not as mainstream as something like The Last Guardian. There was a time in 2014 where there was never going to be an ending to the beloved Zero Escape series because of its poor performance in Japan and so-so sales in the West. However, this game exists because of the fandom rising up and creating Operation Bluebird to encourage the developers that the fans really wanted to see one last hurrah for the series. Zero Time Dilemma takes the decision game to the next level, where the 9 characters, some new and some from previous games, are split up amongst 3 separate teams and are forced to participate in another decision game hosted by the mysterious Zero. With the series known for its fantastic storytelling, interesting room escape sequences, and crazy plot twists, I could not have been more excited for this game. The beginning of the game starts off with a simple coin toss where you're presented with the rules, blue or red, and if you're right, you're treated with the first of 6 endings, and if you're wrong, the game begins. The 3 teams are separated and you're given control over which story segments you want to see. Unfortunately, this creates a sense of dissonance while playing. The second decision game has you voting on which team to kill, and if you set it up so that the votes are split and everyone survives, you unlock all the future scenarios, including the ones where each team dies. It seems like a small thing, but it's hard to get invested in a story that's already purposefully disjointed when you only have the watches on the character's wrists as a frame of reference. Having smaller story segments that you can choose can also dampen the impact of characters dying, unlike in previous games where you were stuck with your decisions for a longer period of time. But although the game does have its drawbacks, the story really does shine through. The horror parts of it are surprisingly strong, the plot twist left me in an utter disbelief, and I personally felt like the ending was a fine cap to the series, especially when you consider it possibly wasn't going to happen. The Zero Escape series is awesome, totally worth a playthrough, and Zero Time Dilemma gave me the conclusion I may not have wanted, but it was certainly the one that I needed. My number 7 game of the year is Inside. Playdead's Inside is just another example of how a small, short, independent game can completely surpass AAA games in terms of gameplay, art aesthetic, and just pure fun. Inside starts off simple, run to the right. But as you come to understand the world, you're introduced to fascinating puzzles and interesting mechanics. Inside is one of those games that's really hard to talk about, so it's going to be difficult for me to tell you exactly how I feel about this game. I love the return of the grisly deaths from Limbo. I thought the sound design, both with the ambient sounds and the score, were spot on, and I personally thought the terror that you experienced while swimming and being chased by that water hag thing was some of the most horrifying moments of the year, and that's coming from someone who played Amnesia for the first time in 2016. The beginning of this game feels good when you're jumping at the last minute to get the safety from dogs. The middle of the game feels great when you're discovering new mechanics, whether through observing the world around you or just doing what comes instinctively. It doesn't give you a bunch of tutorials or hold your hand. You just do it because it feels like that's what you're supposed to do. That's just something that doesn't happen a lot anymore in modern day game design, and I'm glad it's not just still around, but also able to be executed so cleanly. This game doesn't treat you like you're dumb, and it creates a richer, more captivating experience because of that attitude. Inside is freaky. It leaves you with questions in the best kind of way, and it managed to take everything that its predecessor did well, improve on it, and created this amazing gem of a game. Number 6 on my list is Fury. Every once in a while you get a real gem out of PlayStation Plus. Last year it was Rocket League, and this year it was Fury. Fury is not an easy game. It's annoying, it's frustrating, and sometimes it's just plain mean. It makes you relive the days of getting so angry at a game that you want to crush your controller into tiny little pieces. But Fury being hard isn't what makes it great. It has an intense soundtrack, one that gets your blood flowing as you walk between the boss fights, and man, it controls like a dream. I love the feeling of controlling this character. Every movement, every dash can be executed with precision. So much so that if you mess up a move, you have no one to blame but yourself. Figuring out each boss fight and their moves gave the game a Zelda or even Dark Souls feel, where you're constantly trying to discern the pattern of the encounter as it changes from phase to phase. The way your character has to adjust his fighting style between long-range tactics and short-range melee battle is satisfying too, especially when you hit them with a charge attack just right and get an opening to beat the snot out of them. This really was one of those games that reminded me of my childhood. Getting mad at dying in Link to the Past or a really hard Super Mario Bros. Level, or screwing up on the final boss of a mission in Fire Emblem. These kinds of games train you to get better at playing video games and reward you with that sense of accomplishment when you finally get past that boss fight that's been killing you for the previous 2 hours. This game is awesome, and if nothing else, it's a test at how good your anger management skills are. Alright, I have steeled myself for this one and I'm prepared for it. I declare my number 5 to be World of Warcraft Legion. I have played WoW for the past 11 years. I've seen it through its ups and downs, through casual raiding, hardcore raiding, and everything in between. Towards the end of last expansion, I, among many other players, were left with a sour taste in our mouth from the lackluster, content-dry expansion that was Warlords. I had stopped raiding and mostly played WoW to collect stuff and level other characters. Blizzard had a lot to prove with Legion. They had to show me that this game was worth playing as a non-raider, and man, did they blow my socks off. This expansion has to be one of the best, if not the best, expansions to date. There's more content in this expansion than there's ever been before. Long cried for class quests, extended further to create entire class-specific storylines, along with your own class-specific order hall. An interesting overarching storyline with normal Blizzard humor infused with an actual respect for the lore in this world that they've created, aka no more wibbly wobbly time travel nonsense. Artifact weapons all have a bit of lore and grow with your character. Professions that matter again. This expansion has it all. Dungeons are made relevant again with the introduction of Mythic Plus, where you're not just timed to get to the end like challenge dungeons, but they introduce a Diablo 3-like affix system where the mobs drop fire when they die, or all characters in the party have a constant bleed on them. Raiding is still great and can only get better with the announcements that came out of BlizzCon with 7.2 and beyond. And for a casual player like me, I'm amazed at how they've managed to turn the daily quest systems from back in Burning Crusade into something that's fun, repeatable, and rewarding with world quests. Instead of doing the same quests every single day, you're given a list of quests that are available in a zone, and you can do all of them if you want to, but you certainly don't have to. Just pick up a few and to get some of the items to level up your artifact, and you're good to go. This game has reinvigorated my love for WoW, its universe, and who knows, maybe one of these days I'll pick up raiding. I do miss it so. Here we go, number 4, The Witness. Jonathan Blow has done it again. I feel like I've been saying it a lot, but this game is absolutely incredible. It's a beautiful world that's packed with these puzzles that on the surface seem simple, but you quickly discover that they're actually very complex. What makes this game truly great is how it teaches the player new things. You learn in this game by doing. Every single new mechanic that you discover is taught to you first by doing a series of simple puzzles designed to slowly introduce you to what the different symbols mean, and after you become comfortable with the mechanic, it then presents you with a new one. The process of learning these mechanics plus the interesting audio logs spread throughout the world create a surprisingly zen experience where you sit back, relax, solve these line puzzles, and activate the beams required to go down into the mountain at the center of the island. Once you start to get a mastery of the mechanics, the game starts to present the puzzles in different ways, so that you're required to be more observant of the objects in the world and their surroundings. And eventually you're getting to the point where you're looking through like transparent screens, solving puzzles by looking at rocks in the water behind it. And that's when the magic happens. Something unlocks in your brain and now you have an entirely different way of looking at the world. I don't want to spoil it, but if you played the game long enough, you probably know what I'm talking about. This game made me feel like my brain was forming new connections, and it definitely gave me that sense of accomplishment that I love about first-person puzzlers. It's a great feeling and one that builds as you get towards the end game. Yes, that post-in-game section where you're exploring that cavern with all the really tough puzzles is daunting. Yes, it's going to take you thinking outside the box to solve them, but man, if you get past that and approach the final challenge, as Jonathan Blow puts it, it's completely worth the journey. Seriously, this game is awesome. You need to play it as soon as possible. My number 3 game of 2016 is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. There have been multiple examples lately where the number 4 game in a popular series was unable to capture the magic of the original 3. But is anyone really surprised that Naughty Dog managed to buck that trend? Uncharted 4 is everything you've come to expect from Uncharted. Clever writing, beautiful set pieces, and great voice acting. The traversal is just as good as the previous games, and they even managed to make the shooting better. Uncharted is a series that I got into late, and one of the few games that continue to pull me in and make me dive into the world, the story, and the characters. Nathan Drake is a person we all secretly aspire to be, and as the years pass, we understand how he feels as he's forced to put down his gun belt and settle down in a simple job and a simple life. Elena and Nate's relationship in some of those first few hours of the game felt so real to me. And when Drake goes off without telling Elena the truth, I almost wanted him to just stay home and not go on his adventure. And the feeling of vindication that you're given when they finally see each other again is palpable. Uncharted doesn't stop there though. Nate and Sully continue to have great banter and incredible chemistry. And while feeling a little shoehorned in at first, the introduction of Nate's brother Sam ends up creating a natural dynamic that to me felt like two actual brothers just doing their thing. It's incredible the journey that the Uncharted series has taken us throughout the years, and in my opinion, this might just be the magnum opus of the series. It managed to continue to blow me away visually, improve on mechanics of the previous games, and continue to give me exposure to the characters that I care about. This game will make you laugh, it might even make you cry, and the epilogue left me with such a huge grin on my face as Nathan Drake's adventures have finally come to an end.
Like a pro. It's your turn.
My runner-up for Game of the Year has to go to Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2 gives you the choice of playing as either Emily Caldwin, now Empress, or the infamous Royal Protector from the last game, Corvo Antano, who was rather unceremoniously revealed to be her father in all the marketing. All the good stuff you love from Dishonored series is back. The weird lore about whaling, the incredibly good level design, the way you discover new pathways by listening to side conversations, the stealth versus kill everything approach to gameplay, I could go on and on. This game did what a sequel should, took everything that was good from the last game, made slight tweaks, and improved on what didn't work. It still feels awesome to use the powers. Emily's magic is slightly different from Corvo's, where you can distract enemies with a mesmerize or link multiple enemies together with domino so that if you knock one out, their friend is immediately knocked out too. You just feel so powerful in this game. My only real complaint is that they took out the mission select and the ability to restart missions, so unless you save scum, you're unable to go back and replay missions if you mess something up, which is a real drag when you're trying to do a shadow no-kill run and accidentally kill a stupid civilian with a stupid grenade and don't realize you did it until the mission is over. Not that I'm bitter or anything. Dishonored was my favorite game of the year when it came out, and this game just barely missed the #1 spot for me. It's awesome, it's fun, it's gratifying to play. It's more the same from the original Dishonored, but better in almost every single way. And finally, my game of the year for 2016 is Solaxium. Just kidding. Of course it's goddamn Overwatch. Back in 2014, when Blizzard announced Overwatch during BlizzCon, I remember sitting in my friend's apartment watching the opening ceremonies live and having to physically contain how excited I was for this game. Right from the get-go, Blizzard has all of their Blizzard magic all over it. It was charming. The characters were simple yet rich. It has the "you must play this, Ed" written all over it. And it wasn't until late 2015 when I finally got a slot into the open beta weekend where I was in love. I literally played nothing but Overwatch that weekend. It allowed me to reconnect with my friends that I met on WoW as we totally kicked butt. It gave me the squeals of glee as I got my first play of the game. It created a sense of awe and wonder in me that I've not experienced in a long time, probably since I rolled my first human warrior in World of Warcraft. The gameplay is tight, and they continue to surprise me by releasing new characters, new game types, and new maps for totally free. But it's not just the game that's incredible. Blizzard decided to follow in the footsteps of some other games and tell their story completely outside of the game itself, through comics, short stories, and best of all, animated shorts. They remind you of what it's like to delve into a new cartoon as a child. Maybe I'm just a Blizzard fanboy, which I totally am, by the way. But every game I've played, I had a blast. Win or lose, with chatters, with WoW buddies, or by myself. I love this game. And considering how often I played it this year and kept playing it, I would be remiss if I didn't put it in my #1 spot. So go out, buy this game if you don't have it already, and join me in 2017 by playing more Overwatch on this stream, because I cannot wait to play with you. And that's it. That's my top 10 games of 2016. I don't care what anyone else said, 2016 was a great year. We had some great video games, some crazy, awesome new releases, and I got engaged. So 2017 looks to be better than the last year, and I look forward to spending it with all you guys. Sayonara.